and then we'll follow with some questions.
All right. Y'all ready? Okay. Well, welcome everybody here as we get ready for the 2018 year. We're excited to get this thing going. Tomorrow starts our official day of practice. Our coaches, our players, everybody involved with our program have been working very hard since last August. So as we close down the time that we have remaining before the opener on February 16th, we still have to get some things done and get some roles set. Nothing's really just for certain at this point, but I am excited about this club, what we return and what we've added in the new class, and how so far this year they've come together and getting ready for this year.
Did you see you guys kind of benefit from the off season as far as in the weight room? Anybody kind of progress on that side?
I really did. I think everybody did, and what a great investment that has been for our program now for 3 years, having that weight facility that we call ours, that we can use 24/7. And I've said it before, we invest in it as a staff and a program with that development part of their game. But I think what's really neat is to see those guys outside of what we require them to be in there, that they're doing on their own, because they have become a believer in it as well. And you can also see that the confidence that they have when they take the field.
Any freshman from sophomore that kind of physically mature? Nelms, as he put some weight on?
He has. I think it's good weight. He's much stronger. I think the weight that he had has been firmed up. It's not as loose as it once was. He's really a big guy. He's got a big lower half, which I think creates a lot of his power, what he's able to do on the mound. But the weight room and the program has been good for Alex. He's a good one to mention.
The depth we talked about the other day. I mean, how deep down the bench do you want to go this season? Is this a team that you feel like you can kind of work guys in pretty frequently, off and on throughout the week?
Yeah, we've got a roster of 35. That's what the NCAA allows us, and that's what we'll have this year. And at any time that one of those 35 could help us win a baseball game, and certainly that's what they're there for. I tell these guys all the time, my job's to put the best 9 out there to win us baseball games. The best 9 that start the game aren't necessarily the best 9 that end the game. Or are they the best 9 in the middle of the game? So at the end of the game, be one of the best 9 to help us win a game of baseball. And we try to do that with everybody that we have on that roster and the different roles that they play and that we ask them to play.
How have you seen the guys respond to the new pitching coach, Ostrander?
Very well. Oz he's a great pitching coach. He's a great man, a character. I think he relates very well to those guys. He challenges them. I think that they meet the challenge and what he demands. So he's been a great fit for our program coming in, and hasn't missed a beat since he's been here.
If you ever need any more attention drawn to yourself, yesterday the preseason predictions and polls and everything that came out, have you addressed that with the team?
No, I haven't. And I hope that they know me well enough, and I have repeated myself over and over again that the poll at the beginning of the year doesn't matter. It's the poll at the end of the year that we're trying to be in. We're very grateful for the respect that obviously has been given to us in Conference USA, but it's a team effort, and that's what we're going to look at it. Even with Nikki and Matt and their preseason honors that they've been picked, they'll be the first ones to tell you. They're not there by themselves. The team is there with them, and that's probably how come they're being recognized as well. So, the expectations at Southern Miss it's always been great. And that's the way we want it. And yesterday's reflection of where the coaches have voted us is honestly it's where we want to be. As a program, it's where all the clubs in Conference USA want to be, I would think.
You the only one that voted for Rice?
I guess so.
Coach, a lot of talks about Wallner moving the right field. question about that is or is that also to help maybe center field's such a busy position, and during the season, that him playing in right field with his strong arm, does that give him maybe some rest time that maybe he didn't have, and you could use him down the stretch more pitching?
Well, the pitching parts remain to be seen. Obviously last year, the times that he did appear, which I think were 9 appearances last year, certainly were bright spots. But what we want to do is we're still trying to see if we can utilize him on the mound, and if the hip will allow it to do that. Right now, it looks good. I feel like the move to right field is one that allows to open up center field. We've got some guys that can really cover the ground. Not that Matt couldn't, he did. I think Mason Herby suits best, particularly his arm in left field. So that gives Wallner, who's a very strong arm, in right field, and we don't lose any ground with the other candidates there in center. So, but it would possibly give him a little bit of a rest, maybe legs-wise, moving him out of the middle of the field that hopefully we can utilize on the mound.
Bordeaux, I know, is such an important leader the last 2 or 3 years. Who kind of steps into that role?
Remains to be seen. In all honesty, I think once we start the season, then that's when you'll see the true leaders. Up to this point, there's never been a test of adversity up to this point, and I think it's when you hit those little slump times as a team, or maybe somebody is selfishly not running the ball out like they should and that we all hold ourselves accountable for. I think that's when you see the true leaders inside the clubhouse step up and say, hey, that's not the way we do it. But I think we've got certainly some guys that are capable of doing that, and we hope that they do take that step forward and give us that leadership.
What do you see as being kind of the trade, the overwhelming trade of this team? Anything different, unique from other teams you've had before?
Not really. I think this team is very confident. I think this team, and it all builds off from their abilities, number one, to play the game of baseball. I think it also comes from the weight room and the confidence that they built among themselves in there, physically and mentally, and being able to transfer it onto the field. So, what is this identity of this team? Somebody asked me the other day at a luncheon, are we going to be a small ball team? Are we going to be a power team? Certainly we have the capabilities of hitting with power, there's no doubt. But I want us to be a well-rounded team. I want us to be able, with plan A, because that guy on the mound doesn't allow us to execute, that we can go to plan B and try to have some type of insurance to win us a game. Maybe it is with a small ball. Maybe it is being able to get a drag down and create some momentum and to where we could score a run. So we concentrate very hard on knowing the game and playing the game all the way around, because there's never a time where you're not asked to do it.
Speaking of pitching, you kind of in your mind already, I guess, coming out of summer and everything, coming out of fall, do you have a rotation already set up in your mind, maybe with the middle relief? Do you have that already in your mind, or is that still kind of an open thing right now?
No, I think it's still open. I think certainly we have an idea. I would be lying to you if I didn't. But I think we still have some opportunities to put some guys in some situations that are going to be very important. The fall is a period that sometimes can be a false indicator of what's going on. There's no pressure in the fall. Everybody's playing. There's nobody in the stands. The pressure is what we put on it. But it's when we start nearing to this time of opening day and the anticipation, the excitement from the media to the fan base, from moving from one sport to the next, where now everybody's, I can't wait for baseball to start. Now then, that's when we start seeing those guys really kind of step up. So I think from here on, when we start practice tomorrow and we start putting those situations at hand in front of them, then they'll see the sense of urgency to get this complete, and we'll have a little better idea.
Are you interested to see this team go from being hunter to hunted, so to speak, with the preseason polls? Last year, you had a great season, but with this year, with the preseason being picked first and all the votes, they're hunting.
We got a target on our back.
And is that something interesting? Are you looking forward to that this season?
Well, I am. I think anybody will tell you that competes at a high level that they want to be the person that everybody's coming after. what you've got to be able to do is defend that. And, you know, I think that's part of competing. And that's what, you know, certainly we try to instill in our guys that now, particularly after yesterday when the poll comes out, they have us ranked 1 in Conference USA, and then some of the national polls where we're in the top 25, we're wearing a target. Because with that target, you get credibility if you knock those people off. So, but what we can't get caught up in is who the opponent is. Right now we have 55 games on our schedule. We have 55 very, very important games. Not one game is more important than the other. Not one opponent is more important than the other. And that's where we have to be as a program, and I think we are. That we understand that we are playing to win the game of baseball. We're not playing to win against that opponent. You have to have an opponent to play the game. That's part of it. But you have to win the game of baseball and how to play it and to win it. So that's what we're concentrating on. Knowing that we have a target.
Coach, you think back to 2 years ago with the dog pile and the double relay, and then last year, you know, being able to host a regional. Is it fair to say you guys feel like you have some strong momentum as a program going forward here?
No doubt. You know, and I think the tradition that we've been able to build for several years, going way back before my time, going back before Cork's time, and the Hills, era. I mean, there's still people that come up and talk to me about when Southern Miss beat Florida State, you know, back in those days in the old Metro. So we feel like that we certainly have tradition on our side. But you're right. The last 2 years have been very exciting for Southern Miss baseball, particularly when there was an absence, a period of time where there was an absence there in the mid-2000s, or 2012 to 15, where we were just a good program, but at the end of the year we weren't one of the 64 like we wanted to be. But these past 2 years have created the momentum that certainly we want going into 2018.
Coach, you mentioned the different starters in the outfield. How does Daniel factor into that, you know, competition? I know he splits time as designated hitter and what have you, but how does he factor into that?
Well, he's one of the guys that's competing for that center field spot. You know, Keating was a guy that missed out this past fall because of a hamate bone surgery. So he missed the whole fall coming out of summer ball. Broke that bone the last week that he was in his summer ball collegiate league. So he missed the whole fall. So he's got to get back out there early now, starting tomorrow, and get those reps and prove himself in a short time. To be honest with you, and his swing has missed a whole semester where he is back swinging right now, but he missed a lot of reps. So, you know, February 16th, you know, that'll be the day that I'll wake up and figure out who exactly is going down on that lineup, and we'll go from there.
Speaking of the opening weekend, ended the season with Mississippi State, starting the season with Mississippi State. What's the feeling in the ball club about that?
You know, I hadn't really mentioned it. Obviously, I don't need to or don't have to. I think they understand it, as does all of college baseball. I think they've rated it the #1 opening series in college baseball this year, and rightfully so. I mean, you got 2 in-state teams that are very, very good, both in polls, ranked in polls, finished last year right here, and we pick right back up with it. But, you know, like I said earlier, honestly, I don't want us to focus on that opponent. You know, if we were playing whoever else, I don't know, Slippery Rock, you know, I would want us wanting to beat Slippery Rock, I mean, in all honesty. So Mississippi State happens to be the opener, and we all know the excitement that that's bringing, obviously. But at the end of the day, I don't want emotion steering our team whether we win or lose. I want us to focus on playing the game and winning the game.
Coach, that being said, I think it was 10 years the last time they came here for a regular season game, so being able to reinstill this rivalry here in Hattiesburg, what does that do just for Division I baseball in the state of Mississippi?
Well, I think it's great. I mean, you look at the state of Mississippi and you take the big 3 programs, us, State, Ole Miss, you look at the total attendance for the year and you compare it to other states, all the other states' big 3 programs, and they don't even come close. And you're talking about a state with a little less than 3 million people that outdraws anybody else. Texas, Florida, doesn't matter. You can do the research, I have. And that says volumes about our state and what we think about baseball. And it's just not at college level, it's at the Little League level, and it just continues to build. The state of Mississippi has produced a bunch of big league players over the years as well. So it's a big part of our culture, and it's a great statement that we're back playing and we need to be.
Players like Wallner and Sandlin, how much are you going to be able to ride them in crunch time down the stretch, when things get tight in the season?
Well, we'll use them as we need them to try to win those games. But honestly, Jeff, they're going to be no different than anybody else. They're a big part, but they're only as good as what you surround them with too. They can't do it by themselves. So, we're going to have guys step up in front of them and behind them in the batting order with Wallner, and we're going to have guys that really step up and allow us to get to Sandlin late in the game. There may be times where we have to go to him a little bit earlier, like we did last year. But they're two pretty good hands that we know that give us those options.
The bullpen, is this the most lefties you've had to work in the league?
It really
What does
is,
that do for
yeah.
y'all?
Well, it lets us to play a lot of matchup. I think it doesn't. It allows us not to deplete that bullpen for a series. We can weather a 3-game series over a weekend, predominantly against left-handed hitting, which in the past we haven't. A lot of times we maybe had 1 or 2 lefties, and you burn them early, you got nobody to go to. So this way, it does give us a lot of options that give us that depth through a series and through a week-long baseball games.
Couple more questions.
Does that let? Go ahead. Please.
What kind of step forward do you expect from J.C. Keys this year?
Well, he's a junior. It's been a progression. I think each year he's gotten much more confident. First year, obviously, he was our best outfielder. We used him late there in the year. Last year we brought him along. He got a few starts under his belt. I think he got a little taste of it. He's been very good this past fall, and yesterday threw very well in his bullpen. So I'm excited for him. I think he understands that we're counting on him. He wants to be that guy. He's a guy that carried that edge with him in high school, and being in his 3rd year here now, I think he's at that point where he's found that edge again.
With you were talking about the lefties in the bullpen. Does that give you more ease to maybe bring Steve Powers into the starting role with all that?
It does. I think certainly last year with Kurt as a lefty in the weekend is very, very. That gives us, we can break that line up a little bit. In years past, it seemed like we're 3 righties every time. So now this year, last year Kurt gave us that left-hand option. Last 2 years or 3 years, whatever it's been with him, now we can continue that. Stevie will be a possibility that we're looking at as one of those lefties that we can start. Certainly, I think he's moved into that. We're starting to groom him for that. We've given him a 4th pitch. Coach Oz has worked real well in developing a 4th pitch with him, so he's progressed really nicely, and Oz has a lot of good things to say where he is with his game.
One more.
Coach, how do you see the transfers shaking out? A lot of people expect them to be big impacts. What do you see?
Well, I think honestly, the transfers have had an adjustment that they've had to make. I really do. With each level that you move up, it doesn't matter if it's the level of college baseball or if it's the level from high school or college, there's going to be an adjustment. Some are going to experience a little tougher adjustment, longer than others. I think that the fall proved as a whole to the majority of them that the game's a little bit quicker on our side right now, or on Division I baseball from where they were. But I think with that being said, the more reps, the more they're around it, the more adjustments, the more they learn to slow the game down and understand the game, they're going to transition into helping us win games this year.
Coach,